With Super Bowl 57 just a few months away and the midseason in our rearview mirror, professional commentators and fans alike are all giving their 2 cents about who this year's contenders will be. Of course, we're no different. Let's get to our top picks for this year's Super Bowl and some candidates that may yet make the cut. Overall top contender, Buffalo Bills. Starting over in the AFC, our top contender overall is the Buffalo Bills. If you're confused about this one, you haven't been watching them this season. Let's set aside that for a while, they are the betting odds favorite to win the Super Bowl this year and number 2 from the current week. The Bills' offense is hard to beat this year. They have the highest EPA from first downs and second in third down conversion rates, but that's because they hardly get to third down. Okay, so they lost 3 games. They have rebounded and continued on their roll, and their lineup for the rest of the season isn't exactly pitting them against any real challengers to the throne. Anything can happen, and someone else could easily take their top spot if they lose their momentum, but that said, the Buffalo Bills are the team to beat this year. The rising stars, the Kansas City Chiefs. But if there is one team that is going to give the Bills a run for the money, it's the Chiefs. They've been doing just as well as the Bills, and some might argue even better. They currently have the highest yards after catch, or YAC, in the league, with second play currently going to the Chargers, whom they beat soundly at Week 11. Whether you attribute this to the prowess of Patrick Mahomes or the brilliance of Andy Reid is up to you. The fact is that the Chiefs have a solid offense. But let's highlight Patrick Mahomes, who has had another fantastic season, leading the league in passing yards and touchdowns. And Mahomes is giving Josh Allen some serious competition as MVP. Look, I'm not saying the success of the Chiefs hinges on one man. I'm saying that the Chiefs have a pretty powerful weapon in Mahomes. If you're still not convinced, look at their current standings in the ESPN FPI. Second only to the Cowboys, meaning that the Chiefs are number 1 in the AFC. And just this week, the Chiefs moved up over the Bills to become the odds favorite for the week to win the Super Bowl. I don't know about you, but all things considered, I like those odds. The crowd favorite, Philadelphia Eagles. Going over to the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles are flying high with a near perfect season and the best season in the league right now. They did have a rough game against the Commanders a few weeks ago, and I have to say, really, Eagles, you lost to the Commanders? I'm not bashing on the Commanders, mind you, but the upset is embarrassing. But I digress. Aside from their Week 10 slip-up, the Eagles have shown themselves to be a great team. Their odds are now tied with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are number 1 in the NFC. Their schedule gets a little more complex here in the next few weeks, but if they keep up their solid performance, you can expect to see them making their way through the playoffs on the road to the Super Bowl. Fly, Eagles, fly. America's team, Dallas Cowboys. Following close behind is America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Love them or hate them, the Cowboys are in an undeniably strong position. Sure, they have not had the season that the Eagles have had, but in terms of pure power, it's hard to argue against the Cowboys. Check out their projections on ESPN's FPI. The Eagles are projected to win just the next 3 games in their lineup, but Dallas is expected to win all but 1 of the next 5 games. And if it can take the division, it has a higher projected chance than the Eagles do of both making and winning the Super Bowl. And if you want to look at odds, they're just behind the Eagles right now. But don't let that fool you. Yeah, the Eagles look good right now, but anything can change. Dallas has been climbing up the standings steadily, just behind the Eagles. Okay, Dallas is lagging behind the Eagles in many stats and standings, but this does not give everyone a clear picture. Look at Dallas's power index, number 1 overall, not just in its conference. This, plus a higher chance to win the Super Bowl, Dallas and the Eagles have a game on Christmas Eve, and this game may show who is the better team. The dark horses. Alright, now that we got the top 4 picks out of the way, let's look at some dark horse candidates. In no particular order, the teams that we're looking at as surprise or wildcard challengers are the Baltimore Ravens, the Minnesota Vikings, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the San Francisco 49ers. Of these, the Vikings are probably the most likely to make the playoffs, but are probably one of the least likely to win the Super Bowl if they make it there in the first place. The only ones with worse odds are the 49ers, but at least the 49ers have a solid defensive team. I don't particularly like either of these teams for the Super Bowl, but I would be remiss if I didn't include them in my list. They could still surprise us all. The Bengals have a pretty decent team, but they haven't shined as much as some of the other teams this year. Still, out of all the teams I just mentioned, the Bengals have the most reason to feel confident in their chances. I put their odds and getting to the Super Bowl and winning it as the best amongst these 4 dark horses. They're just behind the Chiefs in terms of efficiencies and number 4 in the power index, tied up with the Eagles. They're a solid team, and all it will take is the right factor in getting them to the Final Four and all the way to the Super Bowl. The Ravens are the weird pick, I'll admit. They are number 12 in power, and they're not high up in the odds for winning the Super Bowl, and their projections are middling. But their efficiencies have been right behind the Bengals, and they're still a pretty solid team, one that a lot of sports commentators have recognized as a wild card to watch. Well, that's it for us at Locker Room. What do you think? Is there a pick that you think we should have included, or do you think one of our picks missed something? Please tell us what you think and your reasons for your top picks. Help us out by leaving us a comment in the box below. And don't forget to ring the bell and smash that like and subscribe button so you can keep up with all the latest videos on this channel. And while you're at it, check out some of the other videos we've got posted. Your support is important to us, and we appreciate you taking the time to check out what we've got to say. We'll see you next time on Locker Room.